In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create simple website like this and how we can add features where users can easily with just one click update the language on the entire website. So let me show you. If we come here and change the language to the Bosnian, the entire website will be translated to the Bosnian. And if we do a page refresh or anything, it is going to stay the same. And also if you want to switch back to the English, with just one click we can do it. So if you are interested on how you can make this happen for your website, stay with me. In order for us to create the multi-language website, we first need to have some website. So for that reason, I'm just going to use one of the Bootstrap examples so that we don't waste the time creating the website. So what you need to do is go to the getbootstrap.com, click on the examples, and here you will have a different examples of the websites that we can use. Let's pick one. I actually like this one, the pricing. So let me show you how to get it. Scroll to top, go to download examples. From here you can open it and just find the name of it. It's pricing, okay? So I'm just going to copy to the folder where we are going to have the code. Okay, so I'll paste it here, and then I'm going to use my PHP storm to edit this code. So here in the index.html, so first let's see what do we have here and how does it look like. Okay, so as you can see, it's not looking exactly the same as we have on the Bootstrap, and the main reason for that is because we do not have this Bootstrap CSS. So how we are going to get one? We can easily go here to the download, and we can either download it or use the CDN link. I'm just going for this tutorial to use the CDN link. There's no reason for me to use a different way, and now when we take a look, it's going to look the same. Now from here, what I want to do is I'll just quickly remove the content that I don't need so that we don't have a lot to translate. So here, let's say in the menu, I will just leave 2 items. Here I can just remove all the middle content, and then I will just leave the main here in case we want to have it later on. And then from here, since we don't have this image, I will remove it, and then also I'm just going to remove all of those. There is no reason for us to have it right now. Maybe even remove one of those. This should be fine. Let me see. Yeah, so pretty much it's a super basic website. We have some menu, we have some content on the page, and we have footer. Pretty standard page. So now from here, what we need to do is we need to decide how we are going to translate this page and what language we are going to have. So obviously in this video we are going to use the database method. So let's figure out how we are going to design the database. So I'm going to use this tool to quickly show you an example of what is possible and how we can do it. So there are pretty much many different ways how we can do it, but there are 2 that I like the most, and both of them have pros and cons. This one, it's pretty much we have 2 main columns. One is the language that you are going to use, the second one is the content. This one will be just varchar 2 or 3 characters, but this one here is pretty much JSON. So this is JSON format, and that means that we can here have, let's say, English, and then the content here, okay, and then the content here will be the JSON, and then same goes for every other language that you are going to have. However, on the other side, we can also have different way of doing this. So this here can be the language, which is, let's say, English. Element ID that is pretty much like one of the elements on the page that we are going to translate. So it's pretty much like key of the element that we want to use. So let's say this one will be menu dash support. So it can be where it is. So it can be like this. It can be menu dash support. Okay. And then the content will be just the basic text. So it can be, let's say, support. That will be the value. And then we are going to have like this so many times. So another one will be, let's say it's again English. It will be again menu, but this time it will be whatever was the second one, I guess contact. And then the translation of that one will be obviously contact, and so on. The list goes on and on and on for every single element on the page, for every single language that we have. So what are the pros and cons? So pretty much if we are going to use this method where we have always one row, so let me just pick this one. So let's say we always will have one row for every language. So for English, we are going to have only one row in our table, and we are going to have here the JSON file that is containing pretty much this for every element on the page. However, with this second method, what we have is pretty much we are going to have as many rows, as many elements we have, which means that if you have a lot of the language, your table or database can grow pretty a lot because you have so many different elements and so many different translations. So imagine having like 1,000 different elements on the page that you need to translate, and then you have, let's say, 10 different languages. That means that you are going to have 10,000 rows in the table. And then each time from your database, you need to pull all the data in order to translate the page, which can be quite consuming task for the backend to do every single time. Of course, there are different optimizations, etc., on how we can catch the data, etc., but that's not the point of this video. So for this tutorial today, we are going to use this method here, and the reason for that is I have already explained on how to do this in the JSON in one of my other videos. So I will just put here somewhere the link to that video if you want to see how to do it with the JSON. In that video I have pretty much explained how to do it if we have the JSON inside of the file, but here the only difference is it's not in the file, it's in the database. Everything else is pretty much the same. So for that reason I'm just going to use the different method here so that I can explain to you this one as well. Okay, so since we are going to use this method, let's create in our database this table. Okay, so I'm just going to use a new database, so we can say website. Okay, and then let's create one table, let's say translations. Okay, columns, let's say 4, so we are going to have ID. It is going to be auto increment. We are going to have language. We can use full name. Okay, and it's maximum 3. We can have element ID. Let's say it will be up to 50. And content, it can probably get quite large, so it will make sense to use the text. Okay, and that's it. Additionally, for the later use, we can add the columns like created at, updated at, etc., but that's really not the point of this video, so I'll just hit save. Okay, and now we have like different languages. So for now, let's insert a couple of those. So let's say in in the top we have menu, and then this is like logo text. So I'll say English, let's say menu logo, and then the text that we have at the moment is pricing example, right? Yeah. Okay, and I'll hit go. Now the next one will be, let's say, English menu support, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, support. Then we have English menu pricing. The content is pricing. Okay. And then let's quickly do this now for Bosnian. That's it. So now in terms of the menu, we have in the two languages, English and the Bosnian. Okay, so let's see what we can do from there. So for everything else, like just repeat the process, nothing special here. So now what we need to do is we need to have some sort of switcher between languages. So I'm going to create one here. So let's say I will just say select, maybe I should zoom in. Okay, so let's say form control, and then we are obviously going to have here the English and then the Bosnian. Okay, and then let's see how it looks like. Okay, so maybe let's just add some margin here. So to this one, let's say margin and 3, so it's consistent. Yeah, that looks solid. So we have English by default and we have Bosnian. So from here, what we want to do is we want to have the ability when someone click on the Bosnian, that we actually update the language on this website. So how we are going to do this? First, I'm going to get the jQuery. Okay, I will use minified version. Okay, and I'm going to paste it. We first format this page. Okay, and then from here, what I want to do is we are going to have some listeners. So here, it's quite hard to scroll when it's so. Okay, so let's say this will be language switcher. Okay, and then here, let's see on the document dot ready, we will set some event. So on change, what is going to happen is we are just going to reload the page with selected language. So what we are going to say is we can say window.location. So we will from PHP get here. Obviously this page is not PHP, so we need to rename this. Okay. Okay, and then here we can say, okay, so it is this page, or we can just immediately say index.php, but in case that we are going to use this on a different page, it makes sense that we from this print the name of the file. I mean, if you want to see it, if you go to the source, you can see now how it looks like. So it's pretty much the path to the file. And then from here, we can say lang equal, and then we are going to get the value of selected language. So let's see it in action. So now if I switch to the Bosnian, it's going to redirect me to this page with the language Bosnian. If we switch to the English, it's not going to switch to the English because the default is English, so nothing happens when I switch. But you have seen what happens when I switch to to the Bosnian, you know. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to detect this selected language, and from here we are going to pull from the database all the data regarding that. So let's do it. So at the top of this page we can even keep it in the separate file or in the same file, but since this is like super simple example, I will just keep everything in the same file. So here what we want to do is we want to define the default language. Oops. So let's say English will be the default one. However, we also want to make sure that we are able to get the selected language. So if we have different one, we are going to put it right there, right? Okay, and now from here what we want to do is we want to pull all the data from the database. So let's do it. So I'll say connection equal new. We are going to use MySQL. Username root, password is empty, and the database is website. Okay, and then we want to pull all the data. So let's say our SQL will be connection query select. Since we don't have a lot of the rows, a lot of the columns, and the only columns that we have are those that we actually need, I'll just use everything from what was the name, translations, and then we need to say where language equal language. Obviously what you want to do here is just to make sure that, so we always need to make sure that we at least real escape the string that you are taking from the browser, at least that. So from here what we want to do is we want to have translations, let's say as an array. It is going to be associative, and now we want to pull all the data from the database. So let's say we will pull it as an associative array, and we want to store this data to this array. However, if we do it this way, so let me just show you. I want to show you what we are going to have. If you now check, what we have here is we have indexed array, and in that array we are going to have from our database what we need. However, the issue with this is that we don't know at what index we have logo, at what index we have support, etc. So for that reason, it will be much better if we instantly create associative array, and then by that key we can easily access this data. So how we are going to do this? We can easily say that our key will be the data element ID. So let's see how it looks like now. Boom. So now you can see we have the object, and instantly we have the keys. Okay, so menu logo, menu support, menu pricing, and now if we want to access, let's say we want to find out what is the data of, let's say for the menu logo, we can simply do this. What was the, it was the content. Yeah, so we have pricing example. So now if we change this to the pricing, okay, boom, and that's it. It's very simple to use. Okay, from here I will just copy this. We just need to now echo to the proper places. So for here, for the pricing example, we will just say menu, this one is logo, and we are just going to echo this. Okay, so I will just copy this. We will need to do the same for the support and pricing. So support, pricing. Okay, and let's see. Now this is on the English. Let's switch to the Bosnian. Boom, now it's on Bosnian. Primjer cjenovnika, podrška cjenovnik. And the issue here is that default language is English, so we need to change that. How we can do it? We just need to pre-select whatever is the selected language. We can simply do that. We can do it through the PHP, but it will be a lot more code. So for that reason, we can simply do this. And then, okay, and from the PHP, we will just say echo get language, and that's it. Okay, you can see now default is Bosnian. When we switch to English, default will be English. We can refresh and everything, it will be the same. Bosnian, it is the Bosnian. And pretty much that's it. Now we can go to the entire website, translate it the same way, it is going to work the same. Now, the exercise for you guys, and if you need any help, please let me know. I will make sure that I help you with this. But from here, what else you need, and you need to do actually, it's not optional. You should verify that actually this language here, you actually have inside of the database, because someone can come here and say, I want Croatia, and boom, you are going to have the issue. So we need to make sure that this doesn't happen. The next one is you need to make sure that you actually have the translation for every single element. So let's say you cannot say this if in the database you don't have translation for that. So you need to make sure that you verify that as well. The next one is what will happen if someone leaves the website and come back. It will be smart to remember whatever the choice was, so that we can store this data, so that next time when they visit, we are actually going to store, etc, etc. But this tutorial will be too long, so I will just stop here. But if you need help with this, and if you don't know how to do it, please comment just down in the comments below, and I will, maybe if there is good enough demand, I will just create another tutorial that will be advanced multi-language website, where I will explain all of that, create all of that, and even, let's say, we can translate a lot more elements. So guys, I hope that it was very simple, very easy to use. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like it and share it to your friends. And if you have any questions or anything, please ask in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe to this YouTube channel.